Ludwig here, your online business growth mentor, and today I'm really excited for this episode of our Authentic Leader webcast here because we're going to really dive in deep to branding, our core message, and how to acquire more clients. And this is really, really, really important because so many times we go out into the world and we want to market our business and we look at marketing, right? We want to know how to be more effective with social media. How do we monetize and create more products? You know, how do we create strategic alliances and partnerships? What can we do to market more effectively, right? And those things are all really, really important, but if you are going out and spending all of your time and money and energy marketing, and your brand and core message isn't clear, then you are not going to get very good results. And then you start to feel like you're spinning your wheels and it's frustrating, you get overwhelmed, you have anxiety, you feel that maybe it's you, maybe it's your idea that's not effective, or that people just don't want what you have to offer. And that's not true at all. It's probably just a matter that your branding needs help. So many times when we start a business, we have this awesome idea and we just want to share it with the world, but we're still not crystal clear on exactly what that message is or how we can explain that message in a way that is desirable, that people understand what you do and want what you do. They feel a connection with you and your message on an emotional level, which is why people buy. And it doesn't instill loyalty and make them want more from you. So we're really going to dive deep into all of these topics today. And I encourage you to take out a pen and piece of paper and take some notes, because I'm going to walk you through some things that you may not really have heard of before or fully understand or have spent the time doing in your own business. When we're done, I really hope you'll leave a comment on this video below and let me know your top takeaways and any questions that you have, because I really want to offer real value to you. And I want this to make a huge difference in your business. And also, there's social media sharing icons below. I would love your help in getting this video out to more people, but let's wait until the very end so that we can dive in and get you really focused on getting better results in your business. So the thing about branding is that when you hear the term branding, you might be thinking it's a logo and what colors you're going to pick on your website, or maybe even how you professionally display your company. And while that is part of it, there's work that needs to be done before we get to that step even. Now, if you already have a website, you already have your social media design set up, don't worry. Your business is meant to really evolve over time. It doesn't have to be perfect right out of the gates. So hopefully that's going to clear up some stress or confusion for you. It doesn't have to be perfect out of the gates. My message was not crystal clear when I first started. The design that you see on my website today, the way that I present myself, is not the way that I always did. I slowly learned more about myself, how I wanted to represent my company, and evolved my message over time. And so year by year, that's why you're seeing the result that you see today. And all of the top experts online went through a very similar process. Sometimes we look at other experts in the field and we just think that they must have been born knowing how to do everything perfectly and represent themselves perfectly, and that's not the case. But that's also why you really want to invest your time in continuing education, just like we're doing here on this video. Branding is so much more than just the look and feel. I want you to think of your brand as more comprehensive than that. It has to do with your personality. It has to do with your reputation, the way that people perceive you, the way that your audience is connecting with you, you know, the emotional tie that you're creating with them, the emotions that you make your audience feel, and then ultimately that gets conveyed and represented in the loyalty that you have with your following. So these are all really important pieces of your brand. And I'm going to walk you through a series of things that I want you to do as homework, okay? So I'm going to have you actually list out certain parts of your brand, so you can just make a note of what to list out right now. And then homework later this afternoon or in the next couple of days, I encourage you to open up a Word document and much more thoroughly explain and draw out all of the answers to the things that I'm about to bring up for you, okay? So they all have to do with branding and core message. And the first thing that I want you to define is what you do specifically, okay? And I don't know if you've ever done this on a Word document before. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, so let's take me as an example. I help you build your business online. That's kind of the overall message of what I do. But what do I do specifically? Well, then I could break it down and say, well, I offer to do websites for people. I've built over 200, 250 different websites for authors, speakers, and coaches. That's something that I do. But what more specifically do I do than that? And then all of a sudden I'm drawing out, that I'm empowering my audience, or that I'm breaking down complex topics, so you can even get really granular on that kind of a level with what you do. But then also, obviously, you want to make sure to list out your general services, like the website, the strategy sessions. We can help you with social media or whatever it is for you. But the more clearly you can define what it is exactly that you do, the more it's going to become clear to your prospects. And so many times, gosh, this happens all the time, and you've probably even noticed this. You go to somebody's website and you have no clue what it is they really do. It's fuzzy. It's not very clear. Yes, maybe they offer some websites and they talk about, something completely unrelated to that, like well, of course, I can't think of anything. Life coaching, for example. Life coaching, website development, and they'll train you how to be a better copywriter. And those things are really, maybe they don't completely mix. Once you define what it is exactly that you do, then you can find the common threads between all of them. And maybe you can say, I help you, build your business online, let's say, because I can help you with the website. I can help you with copywriting that's going to get your message more clear. And the life coaching is really important for you to help you define your purpose and better help you with the copywriting in your website by delivering your message. Or whatever. I totally made that up on the spot, but I think you get what I'm trying to say here. So clearly define what it is that you do, so that way when somebody lands on your website or your social media profile, or they meet you at a conference, it's not vague what you do. It's very crystal clear. And there can always be more clarity in your marketing, so keep that in mind as well. The next thing I want you to list out is what makes you different. Now, this one, a lot of people have a hard time with, because really, I don't know what makes me different, because your experience feels very natural and normal to you, and you don't know exactly how you're different than other people, right? So one thing that you could consider doing is you can survey your audience, and you can ask them, hey, what do you think makes me different from other virtual assistants out there, from other copywriters, or from other life coaches out there? Or you could just ask them for their general feedback on what it is that you do. Looking through your testimonials is a fantastic way to see what makes you different. From looking back at my testimonials, I've been able to see all kinds of things that make me different. Breaking down really complex topics into very simple, easy to understand tactics and strategies, that's something that I guess I'm really good at, because everybody keeps telling me that. Another piece of feedback that I get a lot of time in my testimonials is how much I genuinely care about other people's success. And so maybe that's something that seems so obvious and natural to me that maybe I wouldn't have put that down on my list, but that is a huge differentiator in the marketplace. Another thing that I've seen in my testimonials is that I really get people results. A lot of other marketing experts out there will give you big strategies, big ideas. They're great at creative and coming up with ideas. But when it comes to how to execute those ideas, or breaking those big ideas into step-by-step little pieces and tactics that you fully understand and can go implement yourself, well, that's where they have a big problem. That's where it's hard for them. So that's one of my strengths as well. By looking back through your testimonials, you'll be able to identify all of the different things that make you different. And literally what I want you to do is make a Word document page full of all of the different ways that you're different. It could be that you're organized, that you're bubbly, that you're responsive. Whatever it is that makes you different, you absolutely want to keep a running list of that, because that in turn is going to help your core. It's going to be a part of your core message. It's going to help sell you more to other clients, and overall it's going to be a part of your brand. So definitely writing that down. The next thing to list out is your experience. This is also one that can be kind of challenging because a lot of times what we do is we downplay our experience or our value. And it could be just because we think we're not good enough or that we don't want to showboat, so we've learned to kind of not really express our value. And that's too bad, because in your company and in your branding, this is the time where you really need to display your experience and your expertise. So even if you have a hard time with conveying that on your website or your marketing materials or even in your personality, it's okay. You don't have to show this Word document to anybody. But for now, what I want you to do is literally list out all of the experience that you've had. Anytime that you've worked with a client, you've been speaking on stage, you had a special award, you were writing a magazine article for the Huffington Post, or whatever it is, any experience on podcasts, anything that you can think of, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be business related. But listing out your experience is going to, again, help you see things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise that create the total package of your core message. It's really important to list that out. And again, this is something that you can go back to and continue to evolve over time as you get more experience. So maybe what you consider doing is putting in your schedule once a quarter, you go in and you update this master document of your brand identity and your core message, so you can add in any new experiences that you've had that can help shape your message a little bit down the road. The next thing to list out, and this is sort of a branch off of your experience, but the next thing to list off is the results that you've gotten, either for yourself or for your clients or for friends and family. It doesn't matter, just any results that you've gotten. And let's say that you are a virtual assistant. Maybe what the results that you got was that you helped by adding blog posts to a website and getting that client to blog more regularly. Maybe that helped them see a spike in traffic. And so you took that website from getting 500 visits a month to 20,000 visits a month in the 6 months that you were working with that client. Or maybe you helped them get an extra 5,000 Facebook likes. Maybe you helped them with their email marketing and you increased their open rate by 3%. Or you noticed that ever since you started, shaping the newsletter in this certain way, that you were getting a better click-through rate, or whatever it is. I mean, just really be thinking about all of the different ways that you have gotten results, again, either for yourself, for your clients, or for friends and family. Because especially if you're new, you're thinking, I haven't gotten any results. I haven't had any clients yet. Well, you've probably gotten your own results. And again, it's really hard for us to look inward at what we did, what we accomplished, because we just take it for granted. So many times when I'm working with people that are new and starting their business, when they get their first client, or their second client, they kind of take it for granted because they think, oh, but it's not 20 clients like I really need. Every little piece builds a company. And so celebrating your wins along the way, looking at all of your accomplishments, even the little ones, again, this all comes back to shaping your core message. So writing out those results is going to be critical because obviously when you get a new prospect that comes in the door, they want to know specifically what kind of results that you can get for people. So you're going to want to monitor those results. When you take on a new client, maybe you have them fill out a questionnaire before you get started. Or maybe you just fill it out and you can identify where they're at in their business when you started working with them, and then check in a month or 3 months down the road and see what progress that you were able to make. And because you were working on their business, you aided in getting that result. So that's another thing that you can think of. Next in this branding document, what I want you to do is list out your personality traits. And you might be thinking, what the heck does this have to do with brand? But it has everything to do with your brand. Your brand is the personality that is conveyed to an audience. It's how you emotionally connect with those people. It's how you build a loyal following. If you really identify what kind of personality your company has, this is going to help in your marketing materials big time, whether it's on social media Whether you're writing a book, blog post, it doesn't even matter. Really identify what your brand personality is. Now, I personally think that this is kind of an easy one because since I am largely the brand in my business, well, the personality of the company and the brand is the same as my personality. But you can decide. We all have so many different sides to our personality. Are you going to be the type of person that cusses in your copywriting, or you say wild off the top things, or you're very controversial or political? Are you funny? Are you serious? Are you professional? You know, really identifying how much energy you're going to bring to your company, or are you more reserved? Are you more shy? Do you want to be more subdued? Really thinking about that is going to help shape your marketing content. When I sit down to write my marketing content, I have to make sure that I'm in a really good place, that I'm in a good mood, I'm full of energy, I'm clear, I'm focused, I'm creative, my heart is wide open, and that's when I sit down to write a blog post, when I sit down to create a product or do anything else, because that's the personality that I want to convey that's very much a part of my brand. If I sit down on a day when I'm feeling like just in a very bad mood. It wasn't the first word that came to mind. But when I sit down and I'm in a really bad mood, that's going to come across in my marketing materials. And that's not at all what's congruent with my brand personality. So I think you can see how that's actually going to be a really important one to list out. And you don't have to make these big, long sentences. Make them short little bullet points that defines your personality and your results. You don't have to write paragraphs or essays here unless you just really want to. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Probably only good can come from that. The next thing, and this is possibly one of the hardest things, but the next thing I want you to write out is I want you to define your perfect client. Some people will call this a client avatar, but this is an exercise, and you've maybe heard me talk about this before. Writing out your client avatar or your exact target client is critical, because right now you're generalizing your marketing message and you're trying to appeal to everybody, be all things to all people all the time. You're trying to appeal to men and women, older, younger. Maybe they have kids, maybe they're divorced, maybe they're single, maybe they have heartache, maybe they're happy. And it gets really, your marketing message gets really muddy. What I did is I literally wrote out a full page in a Word document explaining my perfect target client, and not just how old she is, how many kids she has, or he, whatever it is for you, but for me, I went so deep into this character, and I was really looking at her emotions. What was she feeling at different parts of the day? You know, for me, in the morning she felt empowered, like she could do anything and she was going to have a great day. By about 11 o'clock, she started to get frustrated with herself and down on herself. But then by 1 o'clock, she pumped herself back up again for a strong afternoon. And then by 4 o'clock, she's tired. So now she's thinking different things. She's at a different place emotionally. By 7, you know, now she's really getting tired and she's just not really thinking about much. She's not emotionally feeling a whole lot except just wanting to relax. And then before she goes to bed, you know, this is what she's feeling. And then she wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning and she's feeling this pressure to perform, and she's not making enough progress or enough money, and she's stressed and she's questioning if she can really do it, and she's trying to convince herself that she can. I mean, I really got so specific on an emotional level. I looked at the fears that she had, what excites her, and I listed that all out in a story of this woman's life. And since I did that, it completely changed everything for me. My marketing got much more clear. I no longer had any attachment if somebody didn't resonate with my message. I just knew that they weren't my perfect target client, and that was okay with me. I believe in abundance, and I know that the right people are going to be attracted to me if I'm clear about my branding, my core message, and who I'm marketing to. So once you define your client and you've talked about your personality and your results and you've defined what you do and you've listed out your experience and all of the things that we talked about today, you're going to have a pretty extensive Word document here. And then it's time to really look at your current website, your current messages that you're putting out there, and evaluate if it's on point or not. And chances are it's probably not. Especially when we're new in business, our tendency is to emulate other experts that we admire, right? So maybe when I first got started, I was trying to look at what Brendan Burchard was doing. It's no surprise that I have been a big Brendan fan in my career, because I think that he's the real deal and he really over delivers and he has real value, and that's something that's very rare in this industry. There are a lot of marketing experts and people that are out there to help you build your business. So it's important to me that I'm looking at people that offer real value. And so, maybe when I was new, I was looking at Brendan's materials and I was trying to, keep the same structure to my content, or maybe I was trying to twist my marketing message to infuse his energy and his personality into it. This isn't what I did, but I'm just giving you an example that maybe you can relate to. Maybe there are people that you admire and it's a little bit of your personality and a little bit of somebody else's personality, and at the end of the day, it's not fully authentically you. And I can tell you that one of the biggest ways to separate yourself in your marketplace is by being fully authentically you, nobody else. And this is really challenging to do because we usually aren't fully confident in ourselves. We're not sure that, if it's all us, that people are going to resonate with that, and we feel like we're not good enough or whatever. There's a lot of things happening in our subconscious that you can't deny. I mean, we're human, right? These things are very natural and they're going to come up. But going through this process is going to really build your confidence and help you get much better results as well. So looking back at your marketing materials and seeing where you can improve. Is your coaching page really clear? Are you really showcasing what it is that you do, what you believe in, what experience you've had, what results you've gotten? These are all really important things to put into a coaching page, or any other page of your website for that matter. If I'm a new visitor and I come to your website for the first time, I don't know who you are. See, it's very obvious to you. You know who you are, so you think it's just going to be obvious to everybody else, but it's not. You have to be so thorough and detailed in everything that you're putting out there so that all objections are answered ahead of time, all questions in their mind are answered. When I'm coming to your website, I want to know who you are, what you do, how you can help me, and what I should do next, and why. Why is one of the biggest things that people miss. But if you're covering those bases throughout your website and your marketing materials, and then the right people will engage with you. The wrong people that you wouldn't want for a client anyway won't engage with you. So the more specific that you can get, the more authentic you can be on your website, on social media, fully being you, the better result that you're going to get. And again, like I mentioned, I want you to really do this homework, because the temptation is going to be, oh yeah, I'll do it later, and then you get busy and then you get distracted doing things that aren't really going to get you the long-term results that you ultimately crave. These exercises that I'm suggesting to you will help you get better long-term results. It will help you build a stronger business foundation, and it's going to help you in the long term. You're just going to have to trust me on it. But once you have this sense of what your brand is, then it translates into everything else that you do, like I mentioned, the marketing materials, but also in your website design. When somebody goes to your website, it's a very intuitive, emotional process. They're looking for connection. And so if you define what your brand personality is, then that should be relayed in your website design. If you just picked some WordPress or whatever pre-made template online that's very streamlined, that doesn't have a lot of personality to it, well, if that's what you defined as your brand personality, perfect. But if your brand personality is full of vibrance and color and energy and excitement, and you have one of those very standard website designs, that's a problem. There's going to be an inconsistency there, and your visitor will absolutely pick up on that. So it's going to get conveyed into everything that you do. That's why this exercise is so important. And I know that we're winding down here on our time together, but I just want to give you some pointers or some last tips on really acquiring those clients and what the process has been for me. It's been very effective. In my business, I have a very consistent income. I've never had to sit there and stress about where my next client is coming from, and I don't have these huge spikes and then lows and peaks and valleys. My my income is very consistent. We've grown 30 to 50% every single year that we've been in business. There's a reason for that. It's because I've done the work to really understand my brand, and I've displayed that effectively. And also within that, I just want to say that I'm really focused on emotion in my copywriting and my social media and my e-zines, my weekly newsletters. I'm always trying to think of, what does my client feel right now? What are they really experiencing in their business? What are their frustrations? What is their heart ache over? What are they excited about? And I'm constantly putting myself in their shoes when I'm writing a sales page for my website and I'm creating or I'm launching a new product. I think, what is the state of mind that my client is in right now when they hit this page? And that's the place I have to meet them, at the top of the page. I'm not in a rush to sell to them. I want to identify where they're at. I want to create an emotional connection, and then I want to lead them through this flow, this process of, I understand where you're at. I've been there too. That's why I created this solution. Here's what the solution is. Here's why it's so important. Then here's social proof of how it's working for everybody else. Then I sell them, and then I offer the price and why it would be important and the guarantee and any bonuses and etc. But do you see, the whole first part of that has nothing to do with a price or asking for the order. I'm really getting into their state of mind, and that has always helped in my marketing, because it comes from a place of being genuine, authentic, caring, and people want to know that you really, really care, obviously. So gotten the brand clear, gotten my marketing materials clear, and then the next part is you want to have a comprehensive marketing strategy. And that's obviously not something that I'm going to go into in the last 2 minutes of our time here together today, but these weekly videos are packed with value where I'm telling you exactly what to focus on and why. And I give you the how as much as I can with the time that I have. But marketing, having a very comprehensive marketing strategy that helps you understand where you're going to attract those clients, whether it's through social media, live conferences, speaking, book signings, wherever it is that you're going to acquire those clients, and then bring them into the next thing, which is your sales funnel. You know, your sales funnel should lead everybody to your website, and from the website they should be joining your email list, and from your email list you're going to be offering different products and services. And when they buy into this introductory product, when are they going to hear about the intermediate product and then the advanced product, where you're going deeper into the content? So having a very clear sales funnel is really important. If you don't have products and you're doing more services, well, same thing applies. What is the introductory service they're going to get into? And then from there, what other options does that customer have to continue to work with you? Don't be so focused on always trying to get new clients. Shift your mindset a little bit to be thinking about how you can keep your existing clients longer. What if you only had 5 clients? You could build a very successful business with just 5 clients. Think about if you found a way to service that client where each of them were paying you $25,000 a year, $50,000 a year. You could have a highly successful business for a solopreneur just by having 5 clients. Now, I'm not suggesting you stop your marketing, obviously, but really think in your mind about client retention. What can you do to create a better relationship with that person, to service them more? And one of the key ways to do that is suggest what's next. If somebody hires you to add their blog post to their website, let's say, well, what else can you do? What else do you see that's not functioning 100% in their business, and make that suggestion? It can come from a place of out of a desire to help. It doesn't have to mean that you're just trying to sell them. Again, if you're authentic and you are very clear on your brand personality, people will see what you're really about, and it's not always about sales, right? So be thinking through these types of things. And I also want to suggest to you that when you are obtaining a new client and you're in that process of selling and it hasn't quite closed yet, be really strong in your follow-up, because that's the #1 thing that I think most people do wrong in the sales process is they don't follow up. Most people are a little flaky. And I don't think it's necessarily on purpose. We're just busy. We have a lot going on. And although we need the help of somebody else, it doesn't mean that we're always going to take that initiative, right? So if you can follow up with your prospects, you're going to get a lot more sales that way. And my last tip for you in terms of sales and getting more clients is have a word of mouth strategy. Maybe there's some sort of referral process that you can put into your sales funnel where when you acquire a new client, maybe you give them a certain discount if they refer up to 5 contacts or business associates that they would like to reach out to. Or maybe you just say, you know, if you refer somebody to me, then I'll give you 10% or a $50 fee or whatever it is. But here's the thing, if you don't let people know about that process, they're not going to magically know it's there. You have to spell out everything. You have to make these types of suggestions for people. The same thing goes in your branding. You can't assume that somebody knows your coaching process just because you say you do coaching. You have to be very thorough and detailed on what you offer, what the result is, why people should support that process. So hopefully you're seeing the gaps in your own situation of what you can be focused on to get better results in your business. I would really love it if you would take just a few minutes to make a comment below and let me know your biggest takeaways or what you plan to do next with this information. And also help me share it on social media because I'm really wanting to serve and help people build a better business the right way from the foundation up. And I'm going to need your support to help get that message out. So I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this training, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Thanks a lot.